So now I have a whole bunch of photos. Some have some stories attached to them, as you can imagine. Some don't. So I'm going to try and whip through them. And then after all of that's over, I'll Q&A with you as long as possible. If you don't get your Q-aid, we'll handle it later. So, and by the way, thanks for showing up. Many years ago, this is the back of a Chinook helicopter. That way is Pakistan. Behind me is the Bagram Air Base in Afghanistan. To our left is a Black Hawk guarding us. On good days, the back of the helicopter is down, and that's the guy keeping the eyeball on it to see if there's anything that's looking bad that might take us out of the sky. I'm, like many of you, virulently anti-war, but I don't hate the soldiers, I just hate conflict. And so when the USO called me many years ago and said, would you go to hot and dangerous places and hang out with our enlisted men and women, I said, sign me up. And so I've been all over the world with the USO. Afghanistan was one of the first places I went. And if I had the chance to go back to any one place for 6 months and just stay and learn, it would be Afghanistan. The country fascinated me. I went twice. And so this is a good day because the back is down. And we had spent the entire day basically that way in the distance at forward bases visiting men and women at two bases, Gardez and Coast. This is what they call the Highway of Death. This is Kuwait. And as you remember, when Saddam's forces were fleeing Kuwait back to Iraq, an airstrike was called in and every single person in all those vehicles was killed. And that's what it looks like now. It's all been bulldozed to the side. And as you see in the distance, that's what they call the Kuwaiti Fog. That's the sandstorm that comes every afternoon. And that's what's left. And it's eerie in that you realize there's dead bodies under those vehicles. And every single person who is driving or occupying their vehicles, those vehicles, all of them were killed. And now it's just this very hot, very silent, windy ghost town of, a lot of dads who didn't come home to their kids. It's very sad. That's Baghdad. That's a Black Hawk. That's me. I'm forgetting his name, but he let me take a photo of him. And they do daily patrols over the city. And that was a few years ago before the changeover of power, 2004, 2005, or thereabouts. But I spent quite a bit of time in the Baghdad area, living in the green zone. I spent a night in Uday Hussein's bedroom, a dubious honor. But that was a week that bordered on the surreal. That's back in Afghanistan, my second time to Afghanistan. That's Soviet war junk that was left behind. As you know, the Soviets had to leave in a very big hurry. And they actually left many of their MiGs, their MiG fighters, and that's a tank part over there. There's a jet engine. And if you fly over parts of Afghanistan, you'll see kids literally playing on abandoned Soviet tanks because they swing from the turrets and the kids will play anywhere with anything if you let them. They're kids. Oh, look, it's Saudi Arabia. Some people with billions of dollars have no taste whatsoever. It's like you let one guy be one of the 10 richest people in the world. He's in shipping. And that's Riyadh. I got in there because a buddy of mine's a diplomat, and it's a very hard visa to get. And so we knew a guy who knew a guy whose father is very rich. And he said, hey, come to my father's palace tonight, which has never been said to me before. And so I said, sure. And this is the guy has 3 wives, as you do. And the wives were traveling. And so he said, come in and you can check out my father's 3 wives' houses. And so this is one of the many rooms that is kept at bone-cracking cold. And I think you could power the American Midwest, the air conditioners, the electricity it takes to keep this place freezing cold. Every light was on, every flat-screen TV was on, and most of the rooms we were in had available food. And I said, who's all the food for? And they said, you. I said, there's enough food to feed, a stadium full of people. They said, well, we wanted you to be comfortable. I said, what happens to the food when we leave? And the guy went, I don't know, that's not my department. Oh, look. I am a fan of graffiti, and especially graffiti concerning a certain president who had quite a following all over the world. This is downtown Tehran, in Iran. And Iran is a very small city with a lot of cars. And so it's a perpetual traffic jam. And so my tour spy, I saw that. I went, oh, I have to get a shot of that. So I literally leapt out of the car with him saying, no, it is forbidden. And I said, no, I'm coming home with that. And so not everyone likes him.